And moving the embassy to Jerusalem. President Trump has had a busy week, and it's only Tuesday.
And our next guest points out we're seeing lots of parallels to President Reagan's foreign policy successes. Here with more is Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich, author of the upcoming book, Trump's America, out on June 5th. I'm sure that won't make it to the New York Times bestseller list. Every book has. Good morning to you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. It's good to be with you.
Good to see you.
So it has been quite a week, hasn't it?
It has. Tell us about the parallels between what he is doing and what Ronald Reagan did.
Well, I think, first of all, they both believed in operating from strength and in providing firm leadership, the opposite of the Obama model and the Jimmy Carter model in Reagan's era. Second, they had big goals. Reagan wanted to defeat the Soviet Empire and liberate Eastern Europe, and worked with Pope John Paul II and with Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher to achieve that goal. President Trump came in. You know, the thing that's remarkable about Trump is he's very consistent in his strategic goals. I mean, he's very flexible. He zigzags wildly in terms of his tactics. But if you look at his underlying statements, he said all along the Iran deal was a terrible deal. He said all along he would not put up with a nuclear-armed North Korea. Now, you can go through case after case where Trump has been very consistent in pursuing some very big goals. And in that sense, he and Reagan are very similar. The other way I think that they're very similar is that they both have as their number one job remaining who they are. Neither Reagan nor Trump allowed the Washington establishment to convince them that they had to somehow change and be acceptable to Washington. Both of them remain true to who they really are.
So the big story last week, well, no, excuse me, not the big story. It's been blown out of proportion on other networks, but this thing that leaked out from one of the White House staffers about John McCain, don't worry, he's going to be dead anyway. It's an abhorrent statement to come out. And no one at the administration has apologized for it, but the president's blasted out tweets about the leakers and traitors within. Kellyanne Conway's indicated that people are going to lose their jobs. Do you like the way the White House has handled these series of leaks?
Look, I think one of the things that Trump learned in New York, in the toughest media market in America, is that backing down and apologizing never worked. Because the people who are your enemies just take that, pocket it, and come at you again. And so I think he has a very clear pattern. He's done this all the way through. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't back off. You know, I think, first of all, if the statement was made, it was stupid and it was abhorrent, and I think none of us would approve of it. Second, if it was made, it was in a totally private meeting, and there's something a little weird that there's a huge scandal about something that was said in a totally private meeting, but you can have a so-called comedian say vicious, ugly, nasty things about White House personnel at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in public on television. I didn't hear anybody apologizing. I didn't see any of the liberals say, oh, this was terrible. So you can savage people as long as they're in the Trump administration, and all you'll get on the left is, oh, gosh, I guess that was unfortunate. I think this is a lot of to-do about nothing. What matters is the economy's growing, conservative judges are being approved, North Korea is negotiating, the Iranians are being corralled. These are big things that will change history, and that's the kind of typical Washington story by liberals who, frankly, don't want to talk about the next 100,000 jobs, don't want to talk about what's happening in the country.
Well, he's got a new book coming out on June the 5th. I could see it right over his shoulder. It's called Trump's America, and you can pre-order it right now.
That's right. So enjoy your next few weeks, because you'll be out on the book tour.
Take care.
Relax.
I'll be with you guys.
You better come and visit us. Please do. Thanks so much. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Meanwhile, it's 8:30 here in New York City. We've been talking about it all morning. The media empathizing with Hamas after the deadly clashes in Gaza.
A human tide of protest.
The protesters, including 6 children who were reportedly killed today, seem to be losing their lives for nothing.
Ben Shapiro says they are a propaganda arm of Hamas, and he is next.
And the polls are open now in Pennsylvania, one of the 4 states holding primaries today. Pete Hegseth, there he is, behind the newspaper and having breakfast with friends.